Not good news for Jesus Christ. Though it's only good for those who are guilty of sin. And sin carries a death penalty with it. For the wages of sin, the penalty of sin is death. If you live to be 199 years old and you only commit one sin, the penalty is death. The penalty is death. That penalty is otherwise going to be paid for by you, the carrier, or it can be paid for by Jesus Christ. Folks, we incurred a sin debt that is so far over our heads that we can't even begin to fathom how to pay it. This is not even really a good comparison, but let me compare it this way. Have you ever been so far in debt you didn't think you'd ever see the light of day again, financially speaking? I'm sure some of us have been there, maybe even more than one time. And we wonder, how in the world am I going to get it paid? But with time and persistence, we typically get it paid. But folks, let me tell you something, that is no comparison to the debt of sin. That don't even carry the weight that sin carries with it. Sin carries a heavy weight, it carries a heavy load, and it carries a death penalty. We cannot ever pay for it ourselves. We got to have a mercy seat. We got to have a mercy tree. We got to have the mercy of God. We've got to have that mercy. Someone's got to pay for that sin debt. It's either going to be you or Jesus. It's you or Jesus. It's as simple as that. There's no other options. There's no plan C. There's plan A and there's plan B, and that's it. You can't even have a plan D where I'll take all the above. I'll take myself and Jesus at the same time. No, it don't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You either give your sin to Jesus or you carry it yourself. Right. When Jesus was on the cross, He didn't die because He was a criminal. He was crucified because He loved you. He didn't want to see you die. Folks, that's love. That's a love that you and I can't even begin to fathom. We can't understand it. When Jesus was on that cross, He had you on His mind the whole time. You say, well, I wasn't even born then. That was God up there. He knew you. Yes. He knew you. He knew you were going to sin. He knows the sin you have not even committed yet. And yet He went to the cross because He knew that was the only way. That was the only way. Folks, sin is not only a debt, but it's also a heavy weight. It carries guilt and it carries shame. And folks, that is something that a person cannot carry alone. The only way we can get rid of that heavy weight is to offload it upon Jesus Christ. I heard a story, and I thought it was just a great illustration of the gospel, and I want to share with you that story. But it's a story about a great king who was both good and just. He was both good and just. One day the king got wind that someone was stealing from his treasury. So the king had no other choice, but he sent out an edict, and he said, if the person who's stealing from the treasure, the person who is stealing my gold would just come forward, return the gold, 10 lashes, and you'll be forgiven. 10 lashes and you'll be forgiven. But time went on and the treasury kept getting smaller. Someone kept stealing the gold and no one stepped forward. And finally, the king, he said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to show a little bit more mercy here. If you'll just bring it back 20 lashes. 20 lashes. You'll be forgiven and you'll be set free. But time went on and someone kept stealing the gold, and finally the king grew angry. He said, when that person is caught, and they will be caught, 40 lashes. 40 lashes, folks, is a death sentence. 40 lashes is a death sentence. Finally, that person in their guilt, they came forward. They were never caught. They just came forward. And guess who it was? It was the king's own daughter. But now the king's got a problem. I just put forth a death sentence. And it's my daughter. So they got people talking, what's the king going to do now? See, if he punishes her, he's not loving her because he's fixing to kill her. But if he lets her go, he's not just either. So after several nights of agony and pain and tears and wondering what to do, the king had no other choice. He had made that edict. He had to follow through. So he brought his daughter before the whole kingdom and said, she must receive her punishment. So they laid her on the executioner's table, and they ripped the back of her shirt off. And just as the executioner was drawing back to hit her with the cat o' nine tails, the king hollered, stop! He hollered, stop! And this got the people thinking, he's fixing to let her off scot-free, isn't he? Boy, that's not going to be good for him. That's going to turn the people against him. So the king got up from his throne, tears running down his eyes. He runs, rips his shirt off, and lays across his daughter. Covers her, looks at the executioner and says, now hit her. And the executioner said, I can't do that. I can't hit her without hitting you. But he said, hit her anyway. 40 lashes later, the king laid there dead. But the penalty was paid. The penalty was paid. Folks, listen to me. That's what Jesus did for you. Amen. That's what he did to you. I hope I don't regret what I'm fixing to say, because it's part of next week's sermon. This is burdening my heart. But when Jesus was standing there between two criminals, what's missing from that cross? What's missing from the cross is you got a criminal, and you got Jesus who's not a criminal. What's missing? Maybe I should say, who is missing? I'll tell you who it is. Barabbas. That cross was meant for Barabbas. That's you and I. You and I are Barabbas. We should have been the one on the cross. We should have been the one crucified between the two thieves because we are guilty. But Jesus, King Jesus, laid down and says, hit her. And he laid down his life for us. Ephesians 1:7, Brother John already quoted, it says, in him, who is him? That is Jesus. In him we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sin according to his riches and grace. Folks, redemption means to buy it back. It means to buy it back from the penalty of sin. Jesus died so that you don't have to. Did you hear that? Jesus died so that you don't have to. But there's a problem. Jesus didn't die just to be dying, just so everybody could be saved. Yes, the blood of Christ is powerful enough to save the entire world. The blood of Christ is strong enough to save every human being in the entire world. It is plentiful enough to save everybody in the entire world, but it's not going to save anybody who's not under the blood. Amen. You got to be under the blood. Without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sin. Folks, listen, in John chapter 19 and verse 30, when Jesus was hanging on the cross, he said, "It is finished. It is finished." Now notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, "I am finished." Jesus didn't say, "I am finished." He said, "It is finished." And folks, if Jesus is not finished, you are not finished. You are not finished. As long as you're drawing a breath of life, there's an opportunity for salvation. As long as you're drawing a breath of life, there's an opportunity for grace. There's an opportunity for mercy. That is, if you're not saved. And if you are saved, Jesus is still not finished with you. Because He's got a purpose and He's got a plan for you and for me. The Greek word for "it is finished" is tetelestai, which is an accounting term which means paid in full. Paid in full. Is your sin debt paid in full? Only you can answer that. Only that's between you and Jesus Christ. That is between you and Jesus Christ. The plea of redemption is finished by Jesus. Lord, help me. Do you need to come to Jesus on this Resurrection Sunday? Have you given Jesus all that you have? Heart, soul, mind, and body? Have you allowed Jesus Christ to carry your sin debt and bleed from that cross and then cover you at the foot of the cross? Have you been to the foot of the cross where you can be covered by the blood? Have you been there? Maybe you're here and you've taken all that took place on this Resurrection Sunday for granted. We're just going through life, doing our own thing. We'll go to church on Sunday morning. We might show up Wednesday night. You know, we're just doing our own little thing. Not once thinking about what Jesus did for us. Folks, listen to me. The empty tomb means every day is Easter. Every day is Resurrection Day. Every day is an opportunity for salvation. Again, I say this, if Jesus is in the tomb, then we just as well go home. But let me tell you something, the tomb is empty. Jesus is alive. He was seen by His disciples. He was seen by over 500 more people before He ascended into heaven. He was seen. There was eyewitnesses accounts of all that Jesus did right on up to His ascension. And poor old doubting Thomas, I feel sorry for anybody named Thomas because he gets that what's the word I'm looking for? That stigma about him. You say, "Oh, he must be a doubter. He must be a doubter. His name's Thomas." No, let me tell you. But Thomas, he went up there and he touched Jesus Christ and he said, "My Lord and my God." And he worshiped Jesus Christ. Folks, can we worship Jesus Christ today? If you leave here today, can you say with a clear heart and a clear conscience, "I can worship the Lord at church, I can worship the Lord at work, I can worship the Lord at home, I can worship the Lord while I'm fishing, while I'm hunting, while I'm on vacation, I can worship the Lord everywhere I go," because the tomb is empty. Jesus is alive. I done went on longer than I had intended to. There's so much in the Bible to preach about, you find yourself preaching about stuff you didn't intend to preach about. Let's pray.